Oh, yeah. Third and fourth.
Good help.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Northwest Local School District Board of Education to order. Chris, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Mrs. Detzel? Here. Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here. If everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is approval of minutes. Dr. Jackson.
Yes, you have one set of minutes from the March 23rd meeting. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the minutes as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
As I was not present, I will be voting to abstain.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Chris, please call for a vote. The motion carries with 4 yeas and 1 abstention. Our next item is a special recognition.
I recognize Pauletta Crowley. She's going to introduce some winter sports state qualifiers.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Detzel and board members, I do stand corrected. We recognize the final 4 teams for our state athletes, so they will be recognized tonight. So it gives us great pleasure this evening to recognize our winter sports qualifiers, student athletes. But before we do that, I'd like to call Joe Pollitt up to the podium. We have some very exciting news for Northwest High School, and Joe will share that with us, and then we'll recognize the wrestlers from Northwest.
Thank you. Good evening. As Pauletta said, we have some exciting news regarding our baseball field, so I'm pleased to share this with you tonight. Last year, we'd applied for an opportunity for a baseball field makeover through a program offered by the Moats Group and the Reds Community Fund. The Moats Group is a national industry leader in natural and synthetic field installation, and they're based right here in Cincinnati. They did the field at Great American Ballpark, numerous other fields and playing surfaces throughout the tri-state. And they also work with the Reds Community Fund on various field renovation projects throughout the tri-state. Each year, they choose one local field to receive a makeover as part of their commitment to service. Previous projects include a field associated with the Joe Nuxall Miracle League in Fairfield, a field in Lincoln Heights, and then last year's project at Winton Woods High School. They called last Wednesday and informed me that we'd been chosen to receive this year's Service Day, where approximately 40 of their employees are going to come out and work one full day to upgrade and enhance our baseball field at no charge or cost to us. This effort is also supported by the Reds Community Fund, who has also pledged an additional $1,500 in funds to be used for the baseball field. The date is set for this Friday, obviously weather permitting. They'll be on campus from about 7 a.m. until 2:30 p.m., and they'll have a company dinner that evening somewhere off campus. They take pictures throughout the day. They run a PowerPoint presentation during the dinner for all the employees. So we're expecting representatives from the Moats Group and the Reds Community Fund to be on campus at some point throughout the day Friday as well. As far as what they want to accomplish on Friday, we're looking to regrade and kind of supplement the infield with some clay. That's going to help improve the drainage there in our dirt infield. Trimming and edging the infield and base paths, rebuilding the pitcher's mound, rebuilding the bullpen mounds, the home plate area, adding synthetic turf in front of both dugouts, adding synthetic turf on deck circles, and touching up paint in the dugouts, and then trimming and reinstalling sod that we recently purchased and installed as well. So we're very excited about Friday, and obviously follow up with Ms. Crowley with pictures and updates and things like that. So we're very grateful.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good.
Ready? Wrestling? Okay. And we're here also tonight to recognize 2 of our wrestlers. One could not be here, but we have one here in attendance tonight. We went into this season with wrestling with very high expectations. And the 2 young athletes that we're recognizing this evening met those expectations throughout the season and on into the postseason. As a result, they qualified for the state tournament, giving Northwest High School its first pair of state qualifiers in the same year since 1982. I'll let our coach Nick Maffey talk about these athletes and their other accomplishments, but I can tell you that their efforts and their leadership in the wrestling room and the weight room have been contagious. This year we had 4 district qualifiers, 3 of whom will return next year. So obviously, again, we're continuing the expectations and hoping for more big things from Northwest Wrestling this coming winter. So at this time, I'll introduce head coach Nick Maffey.
Thank you for having us up here. I really appreciate it. It's been a good 4 years for the program, taking it over. I'm sure I've said this story a million times, but I took it over and there was 4 kids on the team, so it's kind of like, all right, we need to get back to our grassroots. My coach is in the building who coached me. I'm a graduate of 2002, Dexter Carpenter. So, we've had a lot of good work, and this class was like the class I've been looking forward to since it's been my 4 years. Putting a lot of time in, just as, as they have themselves. The kind of the face of our program for the last 4 years is, while we've had ups and downs with other kids, Julian Daniels has been kind of like the main guy we've been going to. His brother Amir was a 2-time state placer for us, kind of got the ball rolling and set the tone for the team. But Julian's been the face of the program now for the 4 years we've been here. He's a 4-time district qualifier. I'll list some of his accomplishments personally. He was a 4-time district qualifier, which is a good feat in itself, but he was a 2-time league champion once as a freshman, beating a returning state placer, and then this past year he won state as well. He's been kind of plagued with injuries by the end of the year, his first 3 years, but it was always disappointing at the end of the year because we'd say, Julian would have wins over guys who were state placers, but he'd find himself on the injury reserve list towards the end of the year and still, battle through it. Last year he wrestled with 2 broken ribs and still found his way a match away from placing at districts. He's a tough kid. When it comes to total records, there's 21 total records you can have between single season and career record. Julian now owns 12 of those 21 records. A few of them, just to name, is most consecutive wins. He won 33 matches in a row this year, which is an accomplishment all itself. He won 6 total tournaments. We don't go to the chump tournaments. We go to the big ones. We wrestle Moeller, we wrestle St. X, we wrestle Elder. The schools that, in some people's minds have an advantage, but we have the advantage of hard work and work ethic. And he's done a phenomenal job for us. I'll talk about him in a minute when he comes back up here. But the other kid I wanted to talk about, his name's Keon Huntley. He's a junior. He was 41-7. Had a phenomenal season this year. He was a kid that was 106 pounds soaking wet 2 years ago and dedicated himself to the weight room. He's now a solid 135. The reason he couldn't be here tonight is he's currently working with the head wrestling coach at Mount St. Joe. He's been asked to wrestle on the junior national team to represent the state of Ohio at the national duels in Las Vegas at the end of July. So he's got a private session with his coach, and he wanted to be here tonight. I told him we'd say a special word for him, but he's putting in the time and he wants to represent our community and our school in a positive fashion. And there's no better way of doing it than on a national stage. So without further ado, I'll let Julian come up here and say a few words. But again, I thank you for your time, and I appreciate the accolades that you're giving us an opportunity to share this with you guys.
My name is Julian. Okay, what'd you say first? Oh, okay, attending me tonight is my mom. My mom. My brother couldn't come. My future goals, I plan on going on to college somewhere next year to go wrestle, probably play football too, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I'm planning on going on a college visit this weekend to OU. I might go there. I've been talking with their coaches, and I went on a college visit last week to Cumberland University. They were talking about me playing a little bit of football and wrestling there. And that's it. I plan on being a chemical engineer, probably get a degree in that, probably go on somewhere like P&G or something, innovate the world. Basically that's it. I'll probably come back to Ohio, probably coach at Northwest for a couple years.
All goes downhill after that. So
That's what I played professional.
should we walk out here in front of it? Believe it or not, 35 years ago I wrestled too. 35 years and 100 pounds ago.
No, that's part I can believe.
Mr. Pollock and Coach on either end. On three, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And this evening, we'd also like to recognize our swimmers from Coleraine High School and the Coleraine High School boys bowling team. And in order to do that, we're going to call in Dr. Crystalline Turney, principal of Coleraine High School.
Good evening. I would like to call up Stacy Tepe, our swimming coach, to talk more about our young ladies and their wonderful season.
Hi, thanks for having us. So it's kind of a joke at Coleraine because some people don't even know we have a swim team. My daughter was in the locker room one day and one of the boys was like, "What sport do you play?" She said, "I swim." And he's like, "Oh, we have a swim team?" Yeah, we have a swim team. And actually we had about 35 kids on our swim team this year. We did really well. The kids broke, we had 8 qualified districts, 4 boys and 4 girls. Broke eight school records this year, and they just had a really, really good season. 2 girls made it to state. Probably, I believe it's the first time in Coleraine history that 2 individuals have made it to state meet. Weaver went in the 2010, 11, I think. But I think this is the first time. So we're really proud of them. Haley Trotter and Carrie Tepe, if you girls want to come up. So Haley's a freshman this year, made it to the state meet in backstroke. She broke school record in the 2 IM, 100 back, and these 2 were on a relay with 2 other girls, both freestyle and medley relay. They broke school records in both relays. Carrie is a sophomore. She swims breaststroke. She broke her own 100 breaststroke record from last year. Also broke both records on the relay. So they worked really hard. These girls also represented their club team at nationals over spring break. They are in the water from September through April, and then back. They just finished nationals in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then they're back in the water April 20th. So their season really does not end. They're in the water all the time. So they work really hard, and I'm appreciative of their recognition. Thank you very much. Get your
Okay, on 3, big smile, 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, I would like to call up Miss Debbie Potzner, our bowling team coach.
Hello. I'm not feeling very well this evening, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and read. This past season was certainly a memorable one for our boys bowling team. The team had many accomplishments, including finishing 11-4, a first place finish at the Lancer Baker Bash, 3rd in the holiday tournament, 4th in the GMC, and a final ranking of 6th in the city. They were also named the JJ Huddle Team of the Week during their postseason run in March. During the season, the boys also bowled a perfect 300 Baker game, and I don't know if you know what that is, but a Baker game is a game where all 5 players bowl one game. So if you're the first bowler, you'll bowl the first frame and the 6th frame, 2nd, 7th, so on and so forth. So to bowl a 300 game like that, to me, is even more difficult than one bowler. It just goes to show that they are truly a team, which is why they made it as far as they did this year, I believe. Let's see. It was in postseason, however, that the boys really came together and saw success, unlike any bowling team in the school's history. After finishing third in the sectional tournament, the team earned the program's first trip to the state tournament by finishing fourth at districts. The boys were the only team in the state tournament representing the Cincinnati area, and they seized that opportunity. They finished fourth in the state, leaving a legacy and a standard for future teams to build upon. I'm extremely proud of the boys, not only for their accomplishments, but for the way they represented Colerain High School, Northwest Local School District, and our community. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we're going to introduce who's here with you this evening, and they're going to stand in front in alphabetical order by last name, so that the superintendent will senior. How many years you old?
My last name.
My name is Donovan Murray. It's my 4th year on the team, and I brought my dad, Mike Murray, here with me today. And I'm just so proud of the team and all these guys. I couldn't ask for better teammates to bowl with over the years. And he's my best friend, so it was a great accomplishment for all of us, and I'm proud of everyone.
Dad, you want to stand?
Hi, my name is Darius Butler, and it's my first year on the bowling team, and it's been a great year. And I have my dad, Jerry Butler, and my mom, Angela Butler, here with me. And then I'm going to hand it over to Brandon.
All right. My name is Brandon Nuttall, and this is my 2nd year of bowling on this team. And I'm so proud of these guys, and I'm happy for them. And I'm so glad I was part of this. And I have my mom here, Anna Datillo, and my dad here, Jeff Nuttall. I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew Ward. I'm the first 4-year varsity boys bowler at Colerain. This has been probably the most memorable thing I've ever experienced. I mean, this is like my second family. I'm here with my mother and my grandmother, Julia Ward and Mary Eikens. And to all of you returning next year, keep it going. Don't let it stop here.
Hi, I'm Nick Poppy. I had a great year with these boys. I'm here with my mom and dad, Tim and Jenny Poppy.
Hello. My name is Austin Baker, also well known as Austin Petresky. I kind of got changed in the middle of the year. I'm a senior. This is my 3rd year on varsity. And I just had a few words to say about this team. Yeah, you see all the records we broke and all that, but no one else saw what I saw. And that is a team that worked together, that was in and out of the bowling alley, just was there wanting to win. We always competed against each other, and everybody doubted us. No one expected us to, place 4th at districts, place 4th at state. Like Oak Hills, Fairfield, and Middletown. Those are the teams that beat us. Didn't even crack the top 10. And the fact that we're 4th in GMC and we came 4th in state districts and state just is an accomplishment in itself. And I brought my parents, Paula Baker, my mother, and my father, Jonathan Baker. Thank you so much.
What's up?
I love your shirts. Those are cool.
I said t-shirts that also do well. 9K.
Stronger, you want to hand them their box so they have them for the photo?
Matt and Vince are not here.
Darius, congratulations.
Johnny's first game. He's had 5 games.
Okay.
We might start early.
Here, nice smiles, gentlemen. 1,
This is
2,
right.
3.
The team is
Spot your feet are right in the center.
The team is 1-4. We had 3 losses in the tournament. That was big. Moved in tournament. Yeah. One team, I think, was actually 5th graders. He's 4th. He's the only one. He's the only one. He's leading
They're
playing against 5th graders.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have our student athletes out in the hall for another group photo. I would appreciate that.
Want to congratulate all of you. What a great representation of our school district.
It's like one sentence.
Chris, do you have yellow cards?
Let's get them back here to type it out.
Thank you all for coming, and we'll move on to the next item, which is our legislative update. Mr. Harlow.
Thank you very much. We are expecting the House of Representatives to unveil the substitute, what's called the substitute version of House Bill 64, which is the operating budget. We would expect that most districts, such as Northwest, will see modest increases in state support. Although how it looks finally in the final version and any policy issues that will attempt to be resolved in the budget do remain to be seen. So we'll really just wait and see what happens later this week when the House version of the budget is expected to be unveiled. They will hold hearings on it in the full Finance Committee for about a month or so, and shortly before Memorial Day it will be voted on by the full House and then sent over to the Senate, where the process will begin yet again. So I will continue to keep you guys updated.
Thank you, Michael. I think when that first came out, it showed us with a little slight increase, but I wouldn't be surprised if it took all the way till the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, to finalize it, or will the Senate get done that quick?
It will probably go sometime, it will definitely be in June. June 15th would be an early guess, and it has to be done by June 30th. And I don't expect a ton of, I don't really expect it to go down to the wire. There's really not a ton of controversy. The differences that will be ironed out between the House and Senate will probably be very minor. And the governor could always line item veto something if he doesn't like it. So as far as that goes, I really don't expect a lot. I don't expect a lot of theatrics like we sometimes see in D.C. I'll put it that way.
He's kind of like that sometimes. Okay, thank you very much, Michael. The Butler Tech update, there is no Butler Tech update this evening, so we'll move on to the next item, which is the principal's report. Dr. Jackson?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Dr. Crystalyn Turney, high school principal at Colerain High School, and she's going to update the board on her 2014-15 building improvement plan.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share the wonderful things that are going on at Colerain High School. Also, thank you for the opportunity to serve the staff, students, and community of Colerain High School. This is my first year, and we've had a very interesting year, and we know that the best is definitely yet to come. So I'd like to share with you our building improvement plan, and then more specifically, one of the programs that we are extremely proud of. First of all, one of the goals of the building improvement plan is academic achievement, and the strategy is curriculum instruction alignment. And our action steps is that we utilize staff meetings and email to share best practices in instruction, assessments, and changes in local and state guidelines. One way that we accomplish this is through our weekly newsletters, as well as with our staff meetings and sharing a lot of the changes that are coming up. Goal 2 is the climate and culture, and the strategy is through our support programs. Our action steps include to improve the benefits of PBS, or positive behavior supports, as evident through discipline data. And I'll share a little bit more information about that in just a few minutes. Also Also, to engage the entire school community in the educational process by improving communication amongst staff in the building. One way that we accomplish this, again, is through our weekly newsletters, in which we include all of the things that are going on in our building, as well as updates and reminders, and again, information about the changes that are going on in the state educationally. Next is to engage the entire school community in the educational process by improving communication with parents and students. One way that we accomplish this is through our weekly emails, our daily emails that we also send to parents. In addition to the daily emails, I also include updates on report cards and upcoming information for parents. So when our report cards come out, as well as our midterm reports, I share with parents the information that's on there and that they can expect them to come home. We also understand that sometimes those get lost. So we want to make sure that parents are knowledgeable that their reports are coming home and to check for them, as well as plan parent-teacher conferences and other activities for their students. Another way is through our morning announcements, in which I do our morning announcements, and each day I share with students positive behavior expectations and also provide them with some encouraging words to get through the day. Next, we provide monthly discipline information through the BLT, the Building Leadership Team, to develop strategies and support behavior expectations. And with that, we do our monthly discipline updates, in which we share all of the code of conduct areas and the students or the numbers of students who have violated those codes of conduct. We use that for trend data so that we can constantly make adjustments to the way that we discipline and also the way that we are coaching our students to make positive decisions as opposed to negative decisions that end up in discipline. Through this, again, we use frequent communication. Another thing that we have done is I've set up a Twitter account, and thus far I've sent out over 200 tweets. And so I tweet quite frequently about a variety of things, such as academic things, athletics, our extracurricular activities, and also, again, positive words and encouragement and support for our staff as well as our community. So when we talk about our support programs, one program that we are extremely proud of is our RISE program. This is designed to close the achievement gap and challenge our minority students academically. RISE stands for Raising Individual Student Excellence. And so here we have a picture of our first RISE group, which began in the 2011-2012 school year, and so they are our first graduating class next month. The purpose of the RISE program is to identify, encourage, and support Colerain High School minority students who exhibit academic potential to enroll and succeed in honors as well as advanced placement courses, with the ultimate goal of attending as well as graduating from college. The motto is, our goal is not your comfort, rather our highest aim is your success. And so our goal is always to take students out of their comfort zone and challenge them so that they can attain the success that they seek. Some important facts about the RISE program. The program has two levels, RISE 1 and RISE 2. Our RISE 1 program is for our freshmen and sophomores, and our RISE 2 is for our juniors and seniors. In the RISE 1 program, they are introduced to academic strategies that will help them succeed and go on to the honors as well as advanced placement track once they are juniors and seniors. Our RISE 2 program is designed to, again, maintain the students in their advanced placement courses as well as motivate and challenge them for the next phase of their lives, which is college. The program began with this year's graduating class as freshmen, as stated in the 2011-2012 school year. At the end of this school year, approximately 185 students will have participated in the program for at least 1 year. The community service activities are a key component to the program as well. So over the years, they have done Adopt a Family for the holidays, Bags of Love, in which they have provided hygiene products for young kids, youth, as well as women in homeless shelters. Also peer tutoring at Colerain High School as well as throughout the community. parent-teacher conference night, and they've hosted a canned food drive. And this year was our top year in raising canned foods for Sun Ministries. So the life of a RISE student consists of this. There are enrichment programs during the school day as well as outside of school. The enrichment programs include guest speakers, Women in Technology, the YMCA Youth and City Government, and also Miami University Student Leadership Conferences. Outside of school, they participate in college tours, youth programs, as well as the Hamilton County Sheriff Partners in Education. This year was the very first year that they had a RISE family night in which they invited not only the families of the current students, but also potential students for next year to find out more about the academic programs and ways that their student can be a part of the RISE program. The average non-weighted GPA of a RISE 1 student is a 3.18 average, and non-weighted GPA, and a RISE 2 student is a 3.47. So obviously we can see that there is definitely a benefit to staying in the program. 100% of our RISE students are involved in extracurricular activities, including sports as well. And so, of course, we're very proud of this because our students not only maintain their academic status, but they also excel outside of the classroom as well in their extracurriculars. The class of 2015 RISE students have been accepted to Ohio University, Purdue University, Tennessee State University, Georgia Southern University, amongst many others. And the class of 2015 RISE students plan to major in programs such as communications, journalism, mechanical, engineering, musical theater, and pharmacy. This picture is from when they went to the Bengals Stadium and they were with the Hamilton County Sheriff Partners in Education, and they had VIP seating, so they were their special guests at that game. These pictures are from class activities, RISE 1 and 2, in which they are taking the collaborative approach. Some of those include team building activities as well as academic-based games so that they can, again, continue to excel in their classes. The future of RISE is very bright. On this Friday, we will be interviewing 25 8th graders at both CMS and WOMS for entrance into the program. We will be looking for students who want to be challenged and will serve as good ambassadors of the program as well as Colerain High School. So the goals for the class of 2019, our incoming freshmen for next year, are to retain 100% of the students who enter the program. Unfortunately, we do lose students, and so we are looking for ways to retain them. Some of the more common reasons that we lose students are maintaining the academic status, so we want to make sure that we are developing the program so that they know that they have the ability to continue to succeed, and that's with our after-school tutoring as well as our academic strategies that we provide them with. Also, some students leave in pursuit of other courses. So if they have a very high advanced placement load, then they drop out of RISE because that takes up another bell that they're not able to take more advanced placement courses. Also, our goals for the class of 2019 are to increase community service activities as well as other enrichment opportunities. So again, our students have the opportunity to succeed, as well as bring community awareness and involvement to the RISE program. Again, this is our 4th year, and so we are looking to continue to develop that, as well as bring awareness and to gain more students who are interested in the program. Another goal that we would like to achieve is to recruit more in the middle schools. This year, our first appearance at the middle school was in February or March, and so of course we want to start when these students are 6th or 7th graders before they get to 8th grade so that they know what they can look forward to and what they would like to be a part of. And so next year we plan to again go down once school starts to our 6th and 7th graders, meet with them and have them see what the program is about, and then again start to recruit and develop them at a young age in preparation for this program. Also, to increase scholarship offers for our RISE students. And we are very proud that our RISE students have received many scholarship offers. We do not have those final numbers yet, but we will very soon. But we always want an increase for scholarship offers at all times. And finally, to conclude, the greatest glory in living lies not never in failing, but in rising every time we fall, by Nelson Mandela. And so again, we want to make sure that our students continue to rise and meet those expectations so that we can continue to close the gaps and make sure that those students have an opportunity to be successful, not only as students of Colerain High School, but once they leave our high school and go on to college and be successful members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you for a nice presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I know since you've been on board for the past year, the times you've been to the board meetings, you've sat in the audience. You're an excellent speaker.
Oh, thank you.
I wish I had that gift of projection and diction, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Turney, thank you. I want to brag on her for a second because she came this year as a new principal, has done just a fantastic job, is an excellent professional administrator. I've noticed just the climate of Colerain High School improving this year in terms of the quiet in the hallways, students in the classroom, which was important that we kind of reined that in a little bit. She's done an excellent job with that, but she's also worked with the teachers to improve instruction. And it's a tough building. We got 2,000 students. It's the largest building in our district, and there's a lot going on. And she's had a lot of curveballs on top of it all this year as well, and she's done just a fantastic job. And I just want to publicly acknowledge you for that, and thank you for your hard work for our district.
I've heard nothing but positive things about the climate and the culture at Colerain High School this year.
And I'm sure with that ability to speak, they listen when you talk to them.
I hope so. Not all times.
So that's a wonderful gift to have. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Our next item is report from employee organizations. Is there someone here from a certificated or licensed employee organization that would like to speak? Seeing no one. A report from the classified employee organizations. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Seeing no one. School-related organizations. Is there someone here from a school-related organization that would like to speak? Seeing no one. Community comments. I don't have any requests to speak. So we will move on to the next item, which is a superintendent's item. Dr. Jackson?
Yes, under consent items, we have 4 certificated resignations, 3 extra duty procedural resignations, and 1 event worker procedural resignation. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated license, personnel retirements, and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Chris, please call a vote. The motion carries 5-0. Another superintendent item.
Yes, under classified, we have 6 classified resignations and 3 classified procedural resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I would just like to add, as I do at every meeting, this meeting's been posted since Friday, so anyone in the community has had the opportunity to check it out, and please go to our website and watch for our meetings to be posted, usually 72 hours before the meeting. So with no other discussion, Chris, please call a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Our next item is a fiscal item.
Yes, we've had this as an item for discussion for a while. It's now an action item. I was going to turn it over to Amy to kind of discuss what happened this past week regarding the state treasurer. We were waiting for a resolution, but that's not ready yet, so we'll just have another recommendation in terms of moving forward. But I was going to let Amy kind of report where we stand with this.
Yeah, the state treasurer's office sent out a letter to all the local governments in the state of Ohio asking each one to partner with the state and putting their checkbooks online through the state of Ohio online checkbook. So we received that letter, and once we take action, we can let them know that we are interested, and they really know we are because we were part of their press conference.
Right. And then it says the superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education to direct the treasurer to voluntarily submit financial records to the state treasurer online checkbook. So I think what the board would want to do is provide direction to the treasurer to go ahead and do that. So is there a, can that be the motion?
So moved.
Second?
That motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Dan, there's how many districts in Ohio? 640?
612.
612. 612 districts. Northwest is first out of 612 to do this. No cost to the district other than maybe a little bit of computer time with Amy's department. Nobody has to sit at a scanning machine and fax stuff up to them and email stuff to them. It's an amazing system. It's where it's all headed. A lot of this stuff's already out there, but this would not be happening if it wasn't for Dan. Dan has been working on this for how many years, Dan?
I just started yesterday, Chris.
Okay. Well, this is Dan's brainchild, and
well, and it's taken a lot for the whole board. We wanted to get to the point where it wouldn't cost anything, and that was important too. And
Dan was the driving force. So whether or not the board, I hope, goes along with this. The thing is that Dan was the driving force and is the one who went up to Columbus representing the board. And so I congratulate you, Dan, for a job well done, and Amy for participating so willingly and being eager to be part of this. I think it's a great thing, and we'll see who is number two. But Northwest is definitely number one in the state for becoming part of the check for the school districts.
Thank you for your kind words, Chris. I went up there on my own, but it's something that's important to me because if we're the first ones, they're going to tune the software to us. And if we're not first, we're going to have to make a lot of adjustments at some point. One of the comments the auditor made, or the treasurer, I'm sorry, made was, there are some small government operations in Ohio, some small villages of 200 people that are actually keeping records on a legal pad. So how do you take that and transfer that to his office? How do you take the different software the school districts are using and transfer that? And so there's a long way to go with this. He did say that he hoped to have us on by the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So there is some technical issues with it, but they did want to know that we formally directed our treasurer to do this. So I appreciate everybody's interest in it. And, we're not all the way there yet. And if something goes wrong, the next board can always pull back from it. But right now, I'd appreciate some support to go ahead and direct our treasurer to do this. So I don't know if there's any other discussion. So you motioned and you second. Mm-hmm. So Chris, please, is this fed in here? Okay. Mm-hmm. Motion carries 5-0, and let's see how it goes, and we'll move on to the next item, which is a certificated licensed personnel item. Dr. Jackson?
Yes, we have 5 changes in status. We have 1 extra duty contract, 1 event worker, 3 volunteer coaches, and a resolution to hire 3 non-licensed coaches. And just for clarification, one of the changes in status is a correction from our last meeting where we didn't account for a couple of years of experience, so that's why that's in there again. So the superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second?
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Chris, please call a vote. The motion carries 5-0. The next item is a classified personnel item. Dr. Jackson?
Yes, we have 1 initial appointment, 3 classified substitutes, and 5 changes in status. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just do have a quick question here. What is the role of the bus assistant? Is that somebody that's on a bus with a special needs student?
Yes.
Or is that, okay.
Yes. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Chris, please call a vote. The motion carries 5-0. Our next item is a curriculum and instruction item, Dr. Jackson.
So we have a couple of field trips. The first one is Northwest High School Student Senate. They're going to attend an overnight field trip on April 23rd through the 25th. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the extended field trip as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank the staff at Northwest High School, and particularly Patty Daly for actually, she retired, but she's coming back. I see she's going to attend this. This is just something that is so worthwhile, building leadership with our students. And Northwest High School has always been, right out there in front. They've hosted, I've kind of lost count of how many state conferences that have actually been hosted in our school district. So I want to wish the kids good luck. I know they'll have a great time. I know Jim and I attended them all through high school, and it's something that really they'll learn a lot from. So I want to thank the sponsors for taking that extra time to do that.
The students that are on the trip, do they get hit with a missed day of school on that, or is this a school-related activity? I'm reading
If it's
this
during
and
school,
how's
it
that work?
would be an excused activity, but I'd have to look at the calendar to see. I think it's a Thursday evening. They would miss Friday and come back on a Saturday.
Are they marked for a day absent for that, or is that not marked as a day
I don't know if
absent?
it's even marked as a day absent.
That's fine. I wouldn't want it to. It sounds like a
Because it's
worthwhile
actually just a field trip.
school-related
Yeah,
activity.
it wouldn't be an absence. So.
Is that how it, in your experience, Pam? Okay. Okay, is there any other discussion? We did have a motion and a second with Jim and Pam, so Chris, please call a vote. Your motion carries 5-0. And it's a jumping around another extended field trip request.
Yes, this time it's White Oak Middle School to go to Campbell Guard, May 20th through the 21st. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the extended field trip as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
And just the same thing, I just think this is so neat that we have, that White Oak every year takes middle school kids and exposes them to this. I know we've had the kids here presenting,
pretty recent.
and Camp Campbell Guard does such a great job. They have a great program. So again, I want to thank the sponsors from White Oak that, take time and do this.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Chris, please call a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Our next item is a general business item.
But we just need a little direction on how we move forward with construction legal services. The levy is on the ballot on May 5th. Assuming that passes, we will start to work on the design and have documents to review right away. So we received 3 construction legal services RFP responses, one from Finney Law, one from Dinsmore, and the other one was from Squire Patton. Amy and I recommend that we have a small committee of Amy, myself, and Todd, and 1 or 2 school board members to review them, review the 3 proposals, possibly interview if needed, and come back to the full board with a recommendation. Just a couple reasons. One is they're pretty short proposals, and it's very specific work is what we're looking at, and I think the proposal will show who's qualified. And the second is we're really on the time crunch to have actual open sessions and set up interviews would be extensive. So I would recommend a couple.
I had talked to Chris a couple days ago, and I spoke to Jim today, and they've both agreed to serve. So that would be 2 board members to do that, and then you can go ahead and coordinate with them when the availability is. So.
Okay. So we'll send some emails out to get some dates. We'll meet first just to review them, and I think Amy can get copies. I think you have the originals, correct? So we'll get copies, and we get those to you to review, and then we'll set a date to talk about it, and then decide if we want to do interviews or not to bring back to the board. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
Yes.
And our next item is a science curriculum adoption.
So I'm going to, I guess Jenny Bluss is going to introduce our presenter. This will be brought back to the board at our next meeting for approval, so this is just an item for discussion and information this time.
Yes. Tonight I'd like to introduce Leslie Silbernagel, our science instructional specialist, and under her direction this year we have a group of staff members who have looked at a review of our science curriculum. And so what Leslie's going to do tonight is explain the process, explain who was involved in it, how She organized the process, and then at the end of her presentation, she is going to make a recommendation for textbooks that we would like to have your approval to adopt. She has copies of those textbooks for you tonight if you'd like to look at them or take some time over the next week to look at them. But she's going to go ahead and give that presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here tonight, as Mrs. Bless said, on behalf of the curriculum department to make a recommendation for an adoption of science textbooks for grades 3 through 8, our physical science course, our biology course, and our AP biology course. So to just give you a little bit of background information on why we feel that at this time we need to make a new science textbook adoption. In 2010, the state of Ohio adopted new learning standards for science, and as a result of that adoption, many of topics moved grades. So for example, some topics like weather that were in the 7th grade were moved down to some of our elementary grades. And as a result of that, we have topics that are not covered in the textbooks that our teachers and students are currently using. We also, at the middle school level, are using modular textbooks, so it's not all of 8th grade in one big book. There's an energy book, there's a plate tectonics book, there's a chemistry book. And so when those topics are taught between multiple grades, the grades are actually having to share and split those books between the grades, sometimes even at the same time of year. So it becomes a problem in that now we don't have enough textbooks for all of the students at the same time. So also, many of our current books are missing online activities. Our textbook current copyrights range from 2002 to 2005. So at the newest books we have are now 10 years old. So they just didn't have the online activities that are available now. They're missing many of kind of the inquiry-based labs, also some of the engineering and design challenges. And those pieces are critical because those are now cognitive demands of those new Ohio learning standards for science. So it's expected that students are doing those activities to prepare them for the new state assessments in science. So that's grades 3 through 8, physical science and biology. AP biology is a little bit different. It is regulated by the College Board. They adopted course revisions for AP biology in 2012. They actually kind of narrowed the focus of AP biology. They had a huge range of topics that they've covered, and they really have narrowed it, but the kids go to a much deeper level on those fewer topics. So, so our current books aren't, aligned to that, as well as the fact that the College Board requires that you use a textbook that is copyrighted in under 10 years. So our current textbook has a copyright of 2004. If our teachers, they have to submit a syllabus to the College Board every year for approval. If they including what resource they use, if they were to show that this is the resource we're using for next year, they would not be approved because the textbook is not an approved resource. So that's a little bit about why we feel that we need to do an adoption at this time. So the process, I started by sending out a survey to teachers across the district. In the elementaries, I did all the teachers at secondary level, just to the science teachers, asking them to evaluate what they feel our need is, asking them to rate their current resources on alignment, helping to prepare students for the new assessments. Also asking how often do you use a textbook, what do you use your textbook for, those kinds of things. So we did that in October. Then in December, with the help of administrators and our instructional coaches, we formed a review committee. So we tried to get representation for each grade from each building to participate in that committee. I brought that committee together for a full day session in January. I gave them, so each grade level team was given the results of the survey so they could see what their peers were saying they used the textbook for, what their peers thought about, how many days a week the teachers use the textbook, that kind of thing. So they saw the survey results that I had accumulated from the survey in October. Then we kind of did an initial evaluation of materials. There are a lot of resources out there. Each grade level evaluated at the least 6 resources all the way up to 12 resources. Now, some of those resources weren't full textbooks. Some of them were small online components, but they evaluated all of those, focusing on things like alignment to the new state standards, what resources the textbook offered, organization, ease of use for students, things like that. And as a result of that meeting, the choices were narrowed to, in most cases, 2 resources, and in one grade level or one course, they narrowed it to 3 publishers per grade. Then, hopefully you remember in March, there were materials out in the back. We had an open house for parents, community members, and non-committee teachers to come in and evaluate the 2 major publishers that we still had left to let them give some input. The number of people that we had come in wasn't huge, but the people that did come in really did spend some time. I mean, people were pulling up chairs, really looking through the books, talking with the publishers. The publishers were here that night. So I feel like we had some good conversations as a result of that open house. The next day, the publishers came back and did a presentation to the teacher committees, and the teachers completed a final evaluation of the remaining resources. And then kind of as a team, so grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8, we looked at the compiled data of the rubric that they used, and looking at strengths and weaknesses, came up with a final recommendation. Before I get to that, these are the teachers that were on the review team, so you can see what grades they teach and the teachers that we had. And then just to kind of give you a little bit of background, for each resource we came up with an AIM score. It basically looks at several different areas, giving more weight to some areas than others. So for example, alignment to the standards. That's, a critical piece. So that has more weight on this rubric than some other pieces do. So a key thing to just know with this is that the scores that I'm going to show you, these are out of 100. So if you're wondering, what would be a good score, you can kind of think the 90, 80, 70. So closer to 100 is what we want to get. So you can see on the left the grade and then the score each team gave to the Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, the Science Fusion on the left, and then the Pearson Interactive Science on the right. So this is for grades 3, 4, and 5. 4th grade kind of stands out, especially compared to the other grades. There was one kind of very vocal teacher on that committee that I feel like had a big influence on that score. So just because you see that it has, a lower score for the Science Fusion than the Interactive Science, it doesn't mean that I don't truly believe that it's still a really good resource for that grade. So just some comments that the teachers made about the Science Fusion textbooks. They feel like it had the best alignment to the state standards in 5th grade and 3rd grade for sure. The other textbook did not have, there were topics still missing that weren't covered. The teachers felt like the books were student and teacher friendly, that it was very well organized. They have excellent resources for students with disabilities and our ESL population, which is critical as it's a growing population in our community. Also, they feel like it had, all the resources we're looking for: good assessments, activities, labs, online access, things like that, and also built-in inquiry. For our middle school, you can see Science Fusion on the left and Interactive Science on the right. One thing that is kind of unusual about these, kind of maybe from what you're used to, is these are consumable kind of workbooks. They're not a hardbound textbook, but what's nice about this is students will get their own copy of this fresh at the beginning of every year. So, right now we've got pictures and, things written in the books. The kid gets it fresh every year, so that doesn't happen. Also, if there happen to be changes to the standards, if we do a 6-year or an 8-year adoption, if we were to decide, the state decided to, change to the new national science standards that have recently been put out, we would get, these are printed each year. So we wouldn't be stuck with this same textbook for the next 8 years. If there are updates to the state standards, we would get updated textbooks every year. So, excuse me. So it's a little bit different than what we're used to, but I think when I show this to teachers, they are really excited, and they really think the kids will be excited. They like also that the kids get to interact with text. So we tell kids, well, as you're reading, highlight, underline, but don't do that in your textbook. Well, now they get to. So they get to interact with it. Also, I feel like this may help with cost. This really should cut down on the number of copies that our teachers are making, because right now we are missing topics and resources. Teachers are having to supplement and make a lot of copies. So that's a benefit to the consumable book as well. They feel like the content is aligned to the curriculum. It was the only one for all 3 grades that was fully aligned. Also, we feel like it hits all 4 of the cognitive demands for science, the design and engineering, the scientific practices, interpreting science, and recall scientific facts. It has a really strong online component that helps to mimic the new state testing. Materials can be differentiated easier. In the teacher book, it explains very easily how teachers can differentiate. And online access, if a kid leaves their book at home, the parents can still, pull it up online. The parents can see what the kids are doing, and the kids can access it from home, even if they forget the workbook at home. At school. And for physical science, this is the one course that we had 3 publishers that we looked at. The Holt Spectrum Science and Pearson, the Physical Science Concepts in Action, and then the CPO. This course, I think, of all was the one that the team kind of struggled with the most as far as making a final decision. I feel like it came down to, with the Holt, we feel like it has the strongest online version, it has the best resources. We liked that the CPO was kind of inquiry-based and activity-based, but that's all it had. And I feel like you can add some of those things. Our teachers already have some of those activities. If a textbook doesn't come with resources, that makes it very difficult for the teachers. We feel like the Holt is very student-friendly, good layout, not overwhelming for the kids, really good assessment options. And the teachers liked that there was a Spanish version of the textbook and assessments as well. And then for biology, we were still with Mifflin Harcourt, the whole biology, and Pearson biology. The Holt scored a little bit higher. Again, feeling like that this had better online resources. The Pearson online resource, the teachers could not even figure out how to do the interactive labs. They were very complicated, not student-friendly at all. So biology will be our new tested grade or course in the high school starting next year. So it's critical that the kids are expected to do those manipulative online activities. So it's critical that we have a textbook and resource that is strong in that area. We feel like it's well aligned to the state standards. We'll help prepare them for that assessment. And these have an interactive reader. The physical science has it as well. I'll let you kind of pass these around. That's an additional great resource for kids to interact with the text. So there's text, questions after, but they can highlight and circle and things like that. And then lastly, we have the AP Biology. We looked at Pearson, the Biology in Focus, and also the Pearson, the Campbell Biology. We currently have an old version of the Campbell Biology. We scored the Biology in Focus. It really kind of focuses in the Campbell Biology, is used in a lot of college courses, the entry-level biology courses. So there's a lot more in it than really is needed for AP Biology, especially with the more narrowed focus. So we feel like the Biology in Focus is much more student-friendly, kind of cuts out some of that extra stuff that has been cut to the AP Biology course. The chapters are chunked. It's easier for students to find the information. We actually had some kids look at the 2 different books, and they definitely liked the In Focus better. They felt it was not as overwhelming because that Campbell Biology is literally this thick. I mean, it's a big book. So On behalf of the curriculum department, we would like to recommend that for grades 3 through 8, we adopt the science fusion. For physical science, we adopt the science spectrum physical science, and for biology, the Holt version of biology as well. And then for AP biology, we're recommending the biology in focus. You may have noticed that I didn't say anything about K2, and I know our teachers may be a little bit concerned about that. I feel like that's kind of a next step for us. So with the focus in K-2 really being on literacy and in math, science, I realize isn't always the teacher's top priority, so I would actually like to go in a slightly different direction. Rather than a traditional science textbook, there are new programs out there like Picture Perfect Science, where it integrates ELA and math and science all together. And there are activities that are created. The teachers get background knowledge. They get activities that are easy to do, easy consumable stuff that you can just get at the grocery store. I think that's a better fit. So for next year, I would like to look into doing that, pursuing something like that for our K-2, possibly for science. And then, as always, we're going to continue to monitor our high school electives for as the state, changes standards or with new discoveries, we got to keep our science up to date. So there's things being discovered constantly, so we want to stay on top of that and make sure our resources are up to date. At this point, do you have any questions for me? Yeah.
Are the textbooks, do they come also in an online version that's maybe
Yes,
uploaded and
all of
students
these will have either the workbook and an online access.
That way students don't need to lug all these books home, and they can,
Yes.
if they have
Yes.
internet access at home or at the library, they can go and look at them that way.
Yes, and for the biology and the physical science have a traditional kind of hardbound textbook. We are actually recommending that we just do class sets of that and then an interactive reader. This is what your kids want to do for homework. So you're going to send this home. They'll still have online access to the full hardbound book online.
Great, and that'll also preserve the books a little bit.
Yes.
Because they're not being taken home, they're not being shoved, if they're class sets,
Right.
they're not being shoved in and out of lockers.
Yes. Mhm.
There's a lot of talk in the news about the global warming thing and how the young people are maybe seeing like the polar bear on the little chunk of ice. Is there any agenda with any of these books? Are they balanced and?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I feel like they try to take a balanced view. And our teachers, too, I think are conscious of that. In 10th grade, we have evolution as one of our topics. And so I taught biology, and I know that to be very sensitive to,
Both
all
sides.
students in our community and both sides of that. So our teachers, I don't feel like any of our textbooks are lean one direction per se, but give a fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of all the things we do on the school board, I think the textbooks are the best thing for us to discuss, and it's kind of amazing to me with everything you hear out in the media and everywhere else about what are they teaching the kids in school, and we have the books here, and we're having a board meeting, and when I call on community comments afterwards, I want to see who stands up to speak about it. We do everything we can to, I know the publisher was here a couple meetings ago, and I showed up a little early and was able to look around and see what we had, and I think we're doing everything we can to let the community know what we're doing, and so here we are about to make a decision on something at our next meeting with this presentation, and if somebody has something to say, speak now.
Yeah, and that's, I intentionally tried to have my community meeting before a board meeting. Historically, that meeting is not well attended, and so I try to have samples out for people
Right,
to
and I
look
applaud
and
you
I
for
know we're
that.
going to have community members present.
And I don't think people realize, now the few that are here, that the time and the commitment that's put into these book adoptions. The list of teachers there that, served on this committee, clearly, this isn't something that you just did overnight. And the presentation certainly showed that. So please let your committee members know it is definitely appreciated. And it is a big decision, but the way that it was presented, you certainly can tell how much time was put into this.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time this evening and
And
for
feel free
coming out.
to, look at the samples, any of them. And if you have any questions over the next 2 weeks and want to contact me, feel free to do so, please.
Leslie, if they want to take those home, can they do that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's fine.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Excellent
so
job.
much
Thank
for your
you.
time this
Very
evening.
good.
Our next item is community communications. Does anyone in the audience have any questions about anything specific to this evening's meeting, including the textbooks? Seeing no one, move on to our next item, which is other board items. Mr. Heater.
Dan, I'm talking to people who are interested in helping us. It's been a long discussion on this Colerain message board for the big football game September the 4th, which also coincides with my class reunion. The donors say the stars are aligning, and hopefully we will have a full color, large, very impressive, at no cost to the taxpayers, message boards commensurate, at least at Colerain High School, thanks to the generosity of a number of people, including several big donors, make the deadline to have this thing ordered. They're custom made. They're made out in Utah. And the boosters can sell advertising space on it. I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, if it's as good as the samples I've seen, this is going to jazz up those games. And you can use it for stats at track meets and football games. It's really going to make the environment for our athletic events much more positive. Our deadline was May 1st, and we're not going to make that, but I think we can still do it if we get the money together by May 15th. And did we have any more money come in? Okay. I have a guy who's promised me $1,000 that still has not come. So you can only call so many times. But anyway, we're working on it, and it should be a neat thing if it does come to fruition, and I'm hoping it does. So that's it, Dan.
When is your class? What class was that, 74?
Well, strangely enough,
How many years is that, Chris?
it's a class of 74, but we're having the reunion in 41 years. Part of the problem was the two chairpersons, one lived in Florida. She was going to help mastermind this. It was going to be a gift at first, just a red one color board. Well, she resigned apparently the committee. You know how it goes with committees. And she's no longer the president or the chairman of the committee. The other co-chair is up in northern Michigan. And so I thought having the reunion committee from the class of 74 run this might not be a good thing. Ultimately, I was proven right. But the reunion is in the 41st year. I can't believe it, because when I go by Colerain High School, I mean, they're showing all these pictures on the website of these kids from the class of 74, and every one of them I recognize, and the outfits they're wearing, and that was 41 years ago. So either I have a fantastic memory, or, as they say, the older you get, the faster the time goes. But it's an exciting thing for me, and it's only to benefit the community. I don't sell signs. Mr. Bowling recommended a person to go to. The sign man, if this does come to fruition, has done Big Ten and NFL stadiums. This is going to be big time for us. So, and it's not cheap. So let's hope it comes through.
For anybody from the class of 74, when and where is the reunion?
Well,
that was my question that you took somewhere else. But
well, I thought you meant the year, Dan. The reunion is 3 days. Friday night is the game. I'm not sure what the host of the game is, but I'm the host. And that's on Friday night, the 4th. There's a dinner dance at Pebble Creek on September the 5th. Mrs. Tierney is invited. And then on the 6th, they're going to go down and watch the fireworks, and they've got some kind of boat reserved or something. And so it's a 3-day thing, and it's going to be a good thing. It's just hard to get people to come. I think right now we've had 76 out of 720 students commit. I mean, that's percentage-wise not real impressive, but the ones that are coming are going to make sure it's a good time. And it's sort of like when you see that bumper sticker on the card in front of you. Let me tell you about my grandkids. It's like, oh, God, please no. But if anybody has any questions about the class of 74, feel free to come up, and I'll be glad to address those individually.
You might be the last one still around, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Dessel.
Just trying to inject some humor.
I don't know what to say, but I just want to say that tomorrow at 4:30, we're having the Colerain invite for the track team. Too bad we didn't have your scoreboard ready by tomorrow, Chris, so...
Jim, you want to write a check?
Yeah, I'll write you a check. I don't know if it's going to,
Well, let's just say right now, we're $23,000 short.
Great. But I just want to say that Colerain invite us tomorrow at Colerain High School.
Okay, Pam, do you have any board items?
Yeah, a couple things. One, what a great meeting to have athletes from both high schools, and how well they were all spoken. It was so neat to see the bowling team, just how close they are. And that's certainly not a sport that, like football and some of the others, that people go to all the time. So what a neat, great job with all of them. The other thing, the announcement that Joe Pollitt made for Northwest High School to get chosen for the Reds to come and help out on Friday, that's huge. That's what an honor. So, Northwest has just done such a great job, and now for the Reds to recognize that, and the Community Foundation to be there Friday to help, I just think that's so exciting. I would like to say Northwest High School is having, I believe it's sponsored by the Boosters, their first 5K on Sunday. Stop on over. Sunday, I believe it starts at 10. It's $25. You can run or you can walk. You get a team of 10, then it's just $20 a person. And that money's going to go and help with scholarships and also with more improvements. So looks like it's going to be a pretty day. So I hope we can get a lot of people out there. Another thing that probably is the biggest thing is this past Thursday was the levy kickoff. May 5th is coming very quickly, and we can't just assume that because this is such a positive thing that we've got to talk about this. We have a levy on the ballot May 5th. This is going to, let me make sure I'm politically correct when I say this, the tax rate is actually going to go down a little bit. And what this is going to do, when this passes, we're going to have 3 brand new state-of-the-art elementaries. And every other school in the district is going to there's going to be improvements. That means every single student in this entire district is going to reap the benefits of the success of this levy. The kickoff went very well. Northgate Mall generously let us distribute the signs. We had groups from Northwest Colerain Middle School. I'm probably forgetting Pleasant Run, of course, Mr. Hensler. Pleasant Run Middle School perform. We had a lot of volunteers. It's usually the same volunteers that are year after year after year. Pauletta's always leading the charge. I'm telling you, it was wonderful to see all the signs going out. But please, make sure if you don't have a sign, ask someone for a sign. Ask Pauletta. I'm sure she's got a trunk full. And we need to get those out there. We need to start talking to our neighbors. When you're going through the checkout at the grocery store, you need to make people realize how important May 5th is. We're here to educate kids. These new buildings, these improvements in the other buildings is going to help that tremendously. So again, I want to thank everybody ahead of time who has helped with the levy.
I want to do a plug for the front page of our website has the facility study plan on there and can answer just about any questions somebody might have regarding this.
Okay, as Pauletta just said, go to the Northwest Local School District, nwlsd.org. There is a link there. It will answer all the questions regarding this levy, what this levy is going to do for us. If you have any other questions, pick up the phone. I'm talking to the people on the camera. Pick up the phone and call someone. Don't just assume something. Call someone and ask. But, and please, please, please don't forget to vote May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Mr. Harlow?
I would just like to add regarding our upcoming ballot issue that the benefits will be seen not just by the students, but we will actually So the upgrades, most people that come into the building for any reason, if you rent out something for a community event or for Girl Scouts, for basketball or whatever, if you come in, you will see dramatic improvements throughout the process as we implement the campaign should it pass. And I just also hope after tonight that nobody ever asks if we have a swimming team again.
Thank you, Michael. And Pam, you did a good job with that. You're good on the microphone at the bond kickoff, and I attended myself and was pleased to see so many people there. And as Pam stated, well, she didn't say this, but the 5-year operating emergency levy that passed in 2010 is going to be allowed to drop off and go away. And what is coming on in place of that is a bond issue with a small operating levy that is slightly less millage than that. May 5th is a Tuesday, and then sometimes people get caught up with work and their schedules. You can also stop down at the Hamilton County Board of Elections and early vote on this item. If you go down and find a parking spot in the area down at 800 Broadway, any registered voter can stop in and cast their vote starting a few days ago. Or you could vote absentee as well. So there's the way the election law is in Ohio, there's a whole month preceding an election to have a chance to vote for an issue. And I appreciate everybody who was a part of that, and I thought it was a good event. So with no other comments, we'll move on to the next item. Dr. Jackson.
Yes. The board will move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the motion to move into executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I would like to say you're welcome to stay here until we come back from executive session. I don't believe we're going to take any action on anything. We'll just adjourn the meeting afterward. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Chris, please call a vote. Motion to go to executive session carries 5-0, and please leave your computers on.